Essentially what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get some practice climbing the tree setup, and then I'm also gonna get some practice just shooting from the saddle. That shot where the deer, you know, is right under your tree, has no clue you're there, and you're shooting straight down. That is something that we do not practice at the range. We don't get a lot of reps in. So I wanna do all of that today. You guys get to come with me. Before we get into it though, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Almost at 10,000 subscribers. Probably by the time you see this video, we'll already be there. We love you all for it. We appreciate y'all for it. Let's go. I would have already been in my tree crowd, right, when they comment. What you guys aren't taking into account is I have to pack this stuff up to be mobile and fly it all the way to another island, right? So the more weight, the more space that this takes up, you're talking $50 to $100 for luggage. You know the old saying, you know, ounces make pounds, pounds make pain. That is true, but in my case, ounces and pounds mean dollars, and that means pain as well, pain to the bank account. So the first thing I normally do when I get to the tree, I just like to pop my pack off. For that reason, it makes sense for me while it's still behind my back to clip that together, and then I'm gonna pull off my one stick. I'm using the tethered one stick, and it just goes on the bottom of this pack, nice and easy. I'm a fan of these almost fanny pack style packs, but whatever you use, it's what you use. So my fanny pack normally goes on my right side. I set my bow up on my left side because that's the way, if I know this is the way angle that I want to shoot, then my bow is going to be up there at the top of the tree. A lot of times your setup is made or messed up at the bottom of the tree. So while it's in my hand, I generally just go ahead and tie this up already. You don't necessarily have to, but if it's already in my hands, for me, it doesn't make sense to set it down just to pick it up again. So there's plenty of tutorials out there on how to tie a tethered one stick, so you don't necessarily need me to take you through that. So I can already see this tree is leaning that way. So what I should have done is not set myself up for failure. So I'm gonna take care of that now. I'm gonna climb this upside. I'd rather be climbing, I guess, uphill, if you will, because if not, I'll be fighting gravity the whole time. So I will lay my bow down, fletchings down, just because I've had in the past pull-up ropes getting caught in arrows and stuff. So I just lay it down like this. My pull-up rope already attached to my pouch. If you use it a dump pouch or whatever, for me personally, it's just one less step. And then it falls out nice and easily. A little mini carabiner tied to the other end. Bow is ready to come up. At this point now, I'm grabbing out my pull-up rope. It's my pull-up rope for my bag. It's my tether and my rappel rope. I'm doing all of that right now. On this end, I have a uni knot tied on one end, and I have a bowline tied on the other end. And I can simply take this beaner that's on my pack and attach it here. Leave that off to the side. Okay, so as far as my ATC and sway bitch and auto block, I tie that before I even leave the house, right? So that's already attached to the saddle. So all I gotta do once I get to the tree is take this and attach it. I know a lot of you will say, well, by the time you get done with that, I'll already be up the tree and my doggone ladder stand or something like that. Yep, but your ladder stand is gonna be out there all the time. People can't see where I am hunting at. So there ain't a lot of spots to go around, especially on the island. So I try to be as incognito as possible. But you guys hunt how you wanna hunt, and I'm gonna hunt how I wanna hunt. One day, I'm gonna have a good amount of private land that's gonna be for me, my four, and no more. But until then, this is how we have to get after it in these public lands. Now from the ground, which you guys didn't see me do, is test out my sway bitch, test out everything, make sure everything is holding, make sure my knots are holding correctly. Definitely wanna do that every time from the ground. First move, I just hug the tree. I don't have a backpack on, so it's not like I'm sitting here doing a weighted sit-up like I feel like some folks are doing that weighted sit-up, and that's why they're struggling. So without the cam cleat, it takes a little bit longer to get this up here, but The trade-off is, you know, with this stock one stick, is that because there's no big platform up top, I'm able to get the stick higher. So I have a little bit more fuel efficiency with each move. So that's why I like a 3-step aider. A lot of people only do 2 steps because after they leave the ground, they can't get their stick high enough to really be able to utilize that 3rd step. But with a setup like this, then now 1st, 2nd, and 3rd step on your aider are now all utilized. So I only made 1 move on the tree, and I'm gonna grab my measuring tape and I wanna see what height I'm at right now. My platform is at 13 feet. I made 1 move. Okay, so I'm gonna go up 1 more and let's see where we're at. Okay, my foot is right under 18 feet. All right, yeah, this is what we gotta deal with here in Hawaii. This is a hunting unit, but hikers come through here all the time, no permits. But anyways, so if you hear that in the background, I'm sorry. All right, gear hanger time. Kind of like to get this right under my tether. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is not pull up my bow. I'm actually gonna pull up my backpack. Now, if you notice, my backpack is not on this, right? My backpack is actually on the thicker rope, my rappel rope. What I recommend, guys, is the thing that is heaviest, put that on your thicker, more robust rope, just because it'll be easier on your hands. Getting all this slack out of my line. All right, I'm pretty comfortable here in this tree. I did forget the knee pads, so that's unfortunate. I'm gonna go ahead and pull my bow up. It's gonna be awesome one day when we got our own private land where we can just have preset stands everywhere. And we don't have to worry about somebody else coming and find a honey hole, because it is important to make it as difficult for somebody else to find that spot. Right now, if they find it fair and square because they did the scouting that you did, they walked the miles that you did, that's one thing. However, if they find it because they see your tree stand sitting up there because that's just an easier way to get up the tree, or they see a ladder stand up there, for me, that's not acceptable. Arrow was already knocked. I would have already been on the, I like to already have my knees in the tree. Now, obviously, I'm using my 20-yard pin for all of this. So here we go. Super, super close. 4.3 yards. That's when you don't want to be shooting for the first time with the animal out there, because even though I know what the math says, I know what pin I'm supposed to hold on, it's just weird just looking essentially straight down for the animal. But I will be able to just trust the process if I get there, because I've seen it happen. Now, one thing you have to make sure that I just checked to make sure that the string wasn't gonna get caught up on any, make sure there's no branches that are gonna get caught up in your limbs, your cables, or anything like that. So I break down in reverse order that I rig up. You see, my bow rope never comes, my pull down rope never comes detached from this until this portion, and I'll get to that here in a second. But boom, Dynaglide thrown down. I treat this breakdown process kind of like I treat recovery after, you know, things like jujitsu or a good workout. I want to do everything that I can to recover so I can get back into the woods as fast as possible again. Now, the reason why I tie a bowline on this side is because even when it's under great tension, it's still easy to untie. So, untie that bowline, and then all I'm gonna do is throw this on this end of my ohm tether locker. So once again, I'm gonna tie another bowline. You could throw a little small carabiner here. I've just had that carabiner kind of make some noise or, you know, tangle up my my Dynaglide in my pouch. So that's why I only use 1 tether on the side for the bow, and then it takes me next to no time to go ahead and tie this up when it's at the end of the hunt. I don't mind that. So I take the end of my rappel rope. I have a uni knot tied on one end and a bowline tied on the other end. And that way this carabiner that's on my pack, all I'm doing is attaching this to this loop. Once again, the thing that is heavy that would maybe be a little rough on my hands, I like to use the bigger rope. I don't use the Dynaglide for my pack because the pack is heavier than the bow. So pack is down. The next thing is this gear hanger. And when I tell you this thing packs down so small. All right, next I gotta come down a little bit to the first step, and I'm gonna undo my ring of steps. Now, this is probably everybody's favorite part here, getting the rappel down the tree. All right guys, so that's kind of my mindset. I have to be super meticulous and practice a lot here. I am still on Oahu. I have to pack everything up, all of this gear, get it on a plane and fly to another island to be able to go and hunt deer, right? So I have to treat every hunt like it's the Super Bowl. I don't really have the luxury of, oh, I'll just get after it next weekend or go to another spot. I have to take leave from work. I have to fly and do all those things. So I practice everything. If you don't have, maybe think about getting you one of those Reinhardt balls or something that's portable. I have to use that little small target because I have to pack up, drive, get the family in the car if I want to film it, and drive to a hunting area because Oahu is very, very populated. So there's not a lot of places where you live where you actually have room in your yard to do something like this. Hey, if this video was entertaining for you guys, educational at all, if it opened your eyes in any way, shape, or form, or you just want to help the channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It does a lot for us. Almost at 10,000 subscribers. Hopefully by the time you watch this video, we'll already be there. We love y'all. Peace.